The Browns went into Denver, settled in, got to the game, and then promptly pooped their pants.
You're listening to the What the Elf Was That podcast, an iconoclastic look at the latest Cleveland Browns news. The What the Elf Was That podcast is part of the Fanatical Elves podcast network, a part of the Fans First Sports Network. Here's your host, Joel Cade.
Welcome to another edition of What the Elf Was That? We are going to discuss the recent loss to the Denver Broncos. God, I hate that team. I mean, they have a coach that has been suspended for a year because he paid players to hurt people. That was on pure display this week as I watched DTR take a helmet. Mari Cooper took a helmet. I mean, come on. They've already got one player suspended for headhunting. They should probably have two more, but this is the NFL, and nobody really wants to talk about how Sean Payton was suspended for paying players to hurt other players. We just kind of give him the pass. We just push that buck on to Greg Williams. But nonetheless, here we are. So you guys, I'm assuming that all saw the game last week, that terrifying loss where the Browns somehow forgot how to play the basic fundamentals of football, like stay on sides. The referees forgot how to referee a game, clearly calling Myles Garrett for encroachment when you can go into the neutral zone and come back. But apparently, because nobody moved on the offensive line and he jumped in and jumped back, they're going to call a penalty on him. That's not a penalty, people. That's not a penalty. But anyway, the Browns lost, and I hate losing to the Denver Broncos. It brings up older, worse memories for me to lose to the Denver Broncos. Some of you guys out there may be too young to understand that, but I lived through the 80s. I can't. I mean, I can't. So winter is coming, and those of you who are watching get to see my Browns winter hat. And you've noticed that I've grown a beard in for the winter season because I live in Ohio and it gets cold, and it's been uncharacteristically cold so far. So hopefully it gets back to normal Ohio weather, but man, it's been cold. Not a good weekend for Ohio football. I think you all know what I'm talking about. And it's not the Bengals losing that I'm talking about. Not a good weekend for Ohio football, but I digress. So the Browns lost. What do we need to talk about the Browns lost? So if you go on Twitter, this is my favorite thing to do, is go on Twitter. And people are already ready to fire Kevin Stefanski. They're ready to critique every bit of play calling, trying to figure out what elf is going on with Kevin Stefanski. But the reality is the Browns showed up and they pooped their pants. They didn't play fundamental football. They turned the ball over. The defense was on the field a lot and therefore gave up yards, gave up points, doing what defenses do. Half the reason the defense is as good as it is and has been because there's been an offense that's been able to eat up time. And the Browns have not been able to eat up time, at least in the last game, been able to eat up time. For whatever reason, they're not able to move the ball, drive it down the field. Now, this past game, people say, oh my gosh, but I'm going to remind you, the Browns were at one point within one score and could have taken control of this game. They were moving the ball with DTR. They were getting the offense going. And then DTR takes a vicious shot that Mark Sanchez thinks was a legal hit. By the way, speaking of people taking a vicious shot, did you see Mark Sanchez on TV? Oh my God. That dude looked like he got hit by a New York subway. I mean, seriously, some subway train hit that dude. His hair's all a freaking mess. He looks like he's face is drooping and he's got some kind of disease. How do they put this guy on television? He looks like he's had a stroke, and it's not. He just looks really. This guy has not aged well. He has not aged, and clearly his mind has not aged well. If he thinks that hit on DTR wasn't a purposeful headhunting. I mean, my God, the linebacker lifted out of the air and led with his helmet at DTR. And the guy took a shot on his chin and got busted lip off of it. So clearly he's looking to hurt somebody. And I think Sanchez, maybe it's too many butt fumbles. What this guy has clearly let himself go, and he looks absolutely awful. And the good news for you Browns fans is Mark Sanchez will be calling the Rams game this next week. So we get to hear more of this moron tell us stuff that like how do people like Mark Sanchez play quarterback in the NFL? Like, how does he even get a second contract? Like, what is the state of NFL quarterbacks that this guy, who clearly doesn't know much about football, who clearly looks like his life is being drained from him? I don't know what he's doing, but he looks like hell. I mean, just total hell. All right. Maybe he needs to take some like nutrition classes or something. I don't know what the heck's going on with that dude. He looks like hell and he sounds like hell. And I want to put him through hell after some of the stupid stuff that comes out of his mouth. Anyway, Mark Sanchez doesn't think this is a vicious hit. I'm going to remind you all again. Sean Payton was suspended by the NFL for an entire season because he paid players to hurt people. And I know the narrative out there was that it was all Greg Williams, and somehow the buck gets passed to him. But if Sean Payton didn't know what was going on and wasn't complicit in the situation, he wouldn't have been suspended. Period. So just, this is who they are. And they currently have players suspended for headhunting, and I'm hoping they'll have more after this game. But in the meantime, that leaves the Browns with like everybody on the roster with either concussion protocol or injured. Myles Garrett stated that he heard something pop in his arm. Now, x-rays have shown, or MRIs, whatever they do to these people, I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not going to pretend to be a medical doctor. Says he doesn't have structural damage, which I'm assuming is a good thing, because if there is structural damage, this could be another long issue. You've got Dorian Thompson-Robinson in concussion protocol. You got Amari Cooper with a rib injury. When he took a helmet to his ribs, the player led with his helmet into his ribs. But that, again, according to Mark Sanchez, who looks like hell, was a clean shot. So I'd like to personally put some clean shots on Mark Sanchez. Not dirty shots, just clean shots by his definition of clean shot. I would like to be able to do that to Mark Sanchez after listening to him. I don't know what that was called. If that was announcing or what, I'm digressing again. Jordan Elliott apparently has an ankle injury. I want to, again, jump back on Jordan Elliott. I really thought he was the winner of the NFL draft. I think he has shown up and played football pretty well. He's been a liability for a long time, and now he's a solid player. And I bet he gets a second contract from somebody. I would prefer it to be the Cleveland Browns, but I'm guessing because Siaka Ika is in town, that will not happen. Maybe they keep Maurice Hurst. I don't know, but I'd like to see Jordan Elliott come back on a second contract. You got people on Twitter upset that Kevin Stefanski and his play calling. See, guys, this is what's going on, right? You got a loss. You got to find somebody to blame, because that's what the dumb mentality is we got to blame somebody. And so people have decided that Kevin Stefanski is the guy to blame. Why not? He's the head coach, right? But what are you going to do if you're in his spot, right? You've lost. You're starting right tackle. You're starting left tackle. You're starting running back. You already got one wide receiver in concussion protocol. You've got your backup quarterback. Then he gets hurt. People are going to panic. So what Stefanski does, and this is where I'm going to rightly critique Stefanski. What Stefanski does is he likes to throw the ball all over the yard. Okay? But now that DTR is out, he can't throw the ball over the yard, when you should have just been attempting more running plays than you were. Now, maybe not, because Denver was stacking the box. And when you're stacking the box, you're going to get one-on-one matchups on your wide receiver situation, or favorable matchups with your wide receiver, leading to good passing situations. So credit Stefanski for trying to take advantage of the passing situation that was handed to him. Now, you still need to run the football. You still need to run. I mean, I get it, but you still need to run the football. And Jerome Ford has made some tremendous strides in the last 2 weeks. It's like he went out and had replacement eye surgery and took out these old eyes that couldn't see anything and is now hitting the hole. Give him the ball. Give Kareem Hunt the ball. But more importantly, give Jerome Ford the ball. Let him run the ball. He can actually see where the heck he's going. He's given up on trying to run everything outside. Give him the ball. But this is Stefanski, and we knew this coming in, that his play calling is let's throw, and then run if we have to. So that's what he does. And then once PJ Walker came in, it's clear that Stefanski has no faith in PJ Walker because they loaded the Broncos loaded the box. Stefanski says, okay, we're not going to be able to run against the box, but I don't trust PJ Walker to throw the ball. So let's run some loop-de-loop, end around, run it through the tunnel, whatever play he wants to run. I hate those end around plays. I hate them. But they were invented by Paul Brown, and Paul Brown made them famous. Okay. So I get it. I kind of get it. It makes sense if you have somebody that's an over-aggressive defense stacking the box, running some misdirection is going to help you. Okay, so I get where he's coming from, but at the same time, at some point, if your coaching, your play calling is not going to win you the game. Okay, players are going to win you the game, not play calls. Play calls are not going to lose you the game. Players are going to lose the game. Coaches don't win the game. Coaches don't lose the game. Coaches coach the game. Players play the game. Players win the game. Players lose the game. And kickers, more than anybody, loses football games. Okay? If you want to blame anybody, blame the damn kicker because they deserve it. They're not really football players anyway. So everybody's complaining about the play calling. I mean, what's the guy supposed to do? Okay, if he's out there throwing the ball all over the yard and it goes nowhere, everybody's complaining he should run the ball. If the Broncos are stacking the box and he's running the ball into an 8-9 man box and it goes nowhere, then you're like, why didn't he run the ball? Why didn't he throw the ball? I mean, the guy can't win for you guys at all. I mean, Stefanski's doing what he thinks he needs to do to put his team in position to win a football game. If you can't throw the ball, because you got PJ Walker. And the running game is being stuffed up by an 8-man box with a fast, over-pursuing defense. Your only recourse is gimmick or trick plays, and that's what Stefanski tried to do. So you can label me a Stefanski whatever, like I'm defending his play calling. I'm really not. I mean, the guy tries to throw the ball way too much. I mean, he really does. I mean, I wrote an article for Dog Pound Daily back when Stefanski was hired, was that Stefanski's going to come out and throw the ball all over the yard, and he's going to need to be reined in by somebody. And if he's the head coach, nobody's going to rein him in, and we're going to have this problem of just trying to throw the ball all the time to run your offense. And it kind of, we saw it again in Denver. So it is what it is. He is who he is. With the quarterback situation coming up, we may see more of this trickery, dickery, doc stuff all next week. And then you guys are really going to be mad. So speaking of getting mad, let's go to our commercial break. And at the other side of the break, let's have a conversation about more injuries and who the heck is going to play quarterback. And do you think Mark Sanchez will let me legally hit him? Hang on. All right, everybody, we're back. And I'm pretty serious about this. I'd like to suit up and take a running shot at Mark Sanchez and deliver a quote-unquote legal hit on him just to see what he does, right? I can lower my helmet, lead with the crown of my helmet right into the base of his helmet, underneath his face mask and chin area, just like he says it's legal. I'll deliver that hit. I'm not a slouch. I may be almost 50, but I can put a pretty good hit on still. I'm not that out of shape. I'm not that weak. I can put a good hit on Mark. Besides, I think Mark Sanchez, I'm going to beat this like a dead drum. I think Mark Sanchez has seen one too many hits in his day. I mean, he looks like a freaking mess. So the heading into last week's game was a disaster. Pretty much everybody's injured. But the Browns facing The Rams next week have a bigger question to ask. They are now forced to make a decision with the team in an array of issues that it has. Throwing the ball, not running the ball, having teams stack the box with 8-man boxes constantly, putting the defense in bad positions with turnovers. You're looking at starting your fourth potentially quarterback this year if Joe Flacco is really an option, right? The Browns seem like you're going to be in a mess. So that's going to lead to a lot of game plan questions, which it's Tuesday, man. You've got to have a game plan ready. And you can't have this, we're going to have this game plan for DTR if he's ready to go, because I can't think of the last time anybody went into concussion protocol and played the next week. I mean, it's rarely happened. So the Browns have to decide who they're starting. Are they starting PJ Walker, who Stefanski clearly does not trust to throw the football? Okay. And when he's in there, teams are going to stack the box into 8-man boxes, and they're going to see more of these idiotic end arounds, or we're going to see PJ Walker throwing up lame ducks and almost getting himself intercepted. We know who PJ Walker is. We just know who he is, right? The Browns are 7-4. If they can get 3 wins, they're probably going to make the playoffs. So the question coming into Los Angeles is, who's the best quarterback out there that can hand the ball off and help you win a football game? All right. Is it PJ Walker or is it Joe Flacco? And at this point, it's like the choice between 3 weeks in hell or 3 weeks in hell. I mean, there's not much of a choice here. And I'm not saying that because Flacco's a terrible quarterback, which he is, but what I'm really saying is he's not ready. He doesn't have the footwork down. He doesn't know the passing routes. He doesn't know the reads. He doesn't know the keys. He may have familiarity with the offense, but he's not in a position to run the Brown-specific 2023 iteration of that offense. So you really can't throw him out there and expect to have a full game plan to be able to play against the Rams. You can't throw PJ Walker out there and expect to have a full game plan because PJ Walker is just garbage. All right. You can't bring in somebody new because they don't know the offense. You're really stuck. I mean, getting your quarterback hurt, if Deshaun Watson was still playing and healthy, this would be a completely different football team, which is why you pay Deshaun Watson what you pay him, because he transforms that offense from what it is now to a top of the NFL offense. So these games should teach you exactly who Deshaun Watson is and why you gave up picks for him and why he's worth the money that he makes. But I digress. So we're now stuck. You take the crap in hand number 1 or the crap in hand number 2. Either way, it's crap. One crap is old, slow crap, but can throw the ball. The other crap is potentially a dual threat crap, but can't throw the ball. I don't know what you do here. But regardless, you're going to Los Angeles and you're going to be playing the Rams. And by the way, the Rams are basically the current iteration of the Browns mirrored, right? You've got not so great quarterback play. You've got a running game that's struggling, although the Browns running game just needs to be called more than anything, right? You got an offense that's not really putting up maybe 20 points a game. You got the Browns who are putting up maybe 20 points a game. The advantage in that situation has to go to the Rams because they have a better quarterback. They have a better situation in terms of like putting an offense together that can sustain a drive better than the Browns can. The defense, I mean, the Browns give up way less yardage on defense than the Rams do, which means, the Browns offense has been on the field more, but that was an offense that could actually move the football and could actually score points. So the defense is going to be on the field more against the Rams. The Rams are going to be able to tire them out. And before the season is over, this tremendous defense we have is going to regress to the middle is what it's going to do, because they're not going to have the quarterback play to sustain it at a high level. So as the Browns defense regresses back toward the mean because of the offensive play, teams are going to be gaining more yards on them. Teams are going to be able to do more against them. And the Broncos have pointed out that, hey, we can run the football up the middle on the Browns, or we can scheme a particular way against the Browns, you better believe the Rams know they're going to be doing that stuff. So the scheme's going to have to change, or at least adapt to see what's happening here. But I have good news for you. Okay? Look, the Rams are having a terrible season. They don't really have much to play for. They're in a division with the San Francisco 49ers. Okay? So they may have just walked up and quit. So the good news for the Browns is you can come and punch this team in the face. If you can punch them in the face, you're probably going to be successful. So you're going to have to come out and play you have to play trestle ball. For those of you who remember Jim Tressel, you're going to play trestle ball. You have to understand that your team is a defensive team. It is not an offensive team. You need to run the football, keep the chains moving, protect your defense. Okay? This is how the Ravens won with Joe Flacco. Okay? So they won with Joe Flacco. Right? You run, pound, get first downs, quick passes to get first downs, keep the offense on the field. Scoring does not have to be the objective of every drive. The objective of every drive is to get 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 first downs and use 5-6 minutes of the clock. Kick a field goal, let your defense be nice and rested, come out, play their game, and then do that again. Just sustain drives. And if the Browns can sustain drives, and I think they can this week, they could beat the Rams. The question just is, which play calling Stefanski is going to show up? We're going to have the let's throw the ball over the yard. Are we going to have the let's run a whole bunch of trick plays? If you're just going to start running the offense as the offense and minimize the need for your quarterback to throw the ball, the Browns are going to have a chance. So really what needs to happen is Kevin Stefanski, who's a really good coach, who everyone should be thrilled to have. There will someday be a statue of this guy outside the stadium. Just play like you don't have an offense, because in reality, you don't have an offense. You just don't have an offense.
Thank you for listening to the What the Elf Was That podcast. Please like, subscribe, and tell all your friends to give a listen. You can follow host Joel Cade on Twitter @TheLeftGuard.
Merry Christmas, y'all!